I think the overwhelming perception was that it was another type of ale, and that was what people were expecting in terms of taste.
Yeah.
So I think it was, once people tasted it, it was completely different, and that was reasonably.
It's a much more sort of summery drink than I thought.
Yeah, I think we've deliberately chosen it to be that way. So we've made it a lot lower alcohol than normal meads. What we were after was more of you'd have a bottle in the park on a summer's day. Yeah. That's kind of what we were.
Almost like like how cider's become really trendy and like really drinkable, whereas before it was a bit more like you had just sort of like cider drinkers and then beer drinkers, and now there's a lot more
crossover.
Exactly.
I think definitely sort of younger people are more. Certainly, my friends drink a whole range of things. Yeah. They're not just like, well, I remember my dad only ever drinks bitter, and he would only ever drink bitter wherever he goes. Whereas I know, myself, when I go out, I'll drink, a lager, a cider, Guinness or whatever. Yeah.
No, it's good. It's just an interesting. It adds to the mix, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah. So what we do, we make it just out of honey, which is why it's a premium product. I think that's quite important for me, certainly. Yeah. If I was just going to make a generic 5.5% alcohol pop, I could make it out of anything.
Yeah. Anything.
Why bother going to all the effort of fermenting it when just buying some.
So it's basically honey and water, is that right?
Honey, water, and then we add a lager yeast, which gives it sort of quite a crisp finish, a bit like a lager. We tried quite a lot of different yeasts, and lager seems to be sort of do the trick, especially at those lower alcohols. And then we add some vitamins and minerals just to keep the yeast happy, and a bit of acid just to bring the pH down, because the yeast needs it to survive more than anything else. Okay,
wow. Was there a lot of experimentation to kind of get to
there has been a lot. So I've been making it for about, it's year 4 now. Yeah. 4 or 5 probably. It's quite a long time. from sort of a homebrew kind of idea right the way through to sort of a more commercial scale. And there was a lot of experimentation. I think the first recipes you start out with, you're sort of making something that's approaching what's out there already. Right. And then it's more refining it of, well, that doesn't taste very nice, does it? So let's kind of, what do we want it to taste like? How can we play with it? Different yeasts, different starting gravities and that kind of thing, just to get to what we actually want in the end.
And how did you learn all these skills? I mean, do you have a background in making,
in
brewing?
No, I wouldn't say. I have a background in drinking. I mean, I used to make a reasonable amount of cider when I was at boarding school. It's sort of in the cupboard, which was the start of it. And cider and mead are reasonably similar, because beers actually, it's a trickier process because there's a lot more balance, there's a lot more ingredients, you have to balance them out. Yeah. Mead and cider, you kind of just bung it all in and then leave it for a while. Okay. So there's some similarities there, and then with our product, it's the end point, so it's how you stop the fermentation, which is giving us the most challenge. Okay. So because we want it to be slightly sweet, right, and fizzy.
How do you do the fizzy?
So what we do is we bottle it, and then leave it for 2 or 3 days so that it carbonates in the bottle. Okay. And then we pasteurize it in the bottle, all sealed up. Yeah. So it just stops the fermentation dead in the bottle. Yeah. Which took a while to get to that kind of process. Yeah.
Is that London honey or
no?
Okay.
I mean, I think
that would be too expensive.
Too expensive, and there's just not enough supply as well. Okay. It's also very seasonal, so we wouldn't be able to get it throughout the year. Yeah. So we use predominantly a Spanish orange blossom honey. Okay. Which is quite good because it's pretty constant throughout the year, and there's enough supply of it. And the citrus flavours from the orange grapes give it a nice sort of added flavour. Sure. It's got a nice base flavour, and then we use some polyfloral honey to sort of just give it a bit more interest. Cool. Over the top. So we do about 200 litres per batch, so we're still quite small. So we basically boil up the ingredients in the kettle and then cool it and transfer it to one of these barrels. Yeah. And then leave it for, I think it's about 17, 18 days. Yeah. And then bottle it by hand, and then pasteurize it a couple of days later. Basically, around Goose Street, we've got about 3 outlets because they all talk to each other. So we've got Debut and Barnyard and Reverend J. Simpson. We've got a place in the city called A Gold, which is like a deli type place. And then there's a place in Brixton Market called Cannon and Cannon, and the restaurant above it, Salon, which has a... and we stocked... Oh yeah, so we did make some good sales last week, which is the Tate Modern have taken some. Oh great. And the pub at the Globe Theatre as well. So they're quite big accounts, and the Globe Theatre just orders some more, which is awesome. I guess my inspiration was really, came from when I was travelling in the States. There are a lot of meaderies I say a lot of meaderies. There were probably 200, 250 meaderies cropping up in the States.
Yeah.
So meads, I would say, where craft beer was in the late 80s. So quite a nascent industry. But still, they're still doing some very interesting things there. So that kind of gave me the nugget of an idea. And I came back here, and it was about the time that cider was getting really big. And it was kind of, there was, and then I think it was after the peak of cider. So it was when everyone else was trying to invent sort of pear cider and strawberry cider, which were kind of not that interesting to me. So there's nothing new, you're not adding to sort of the canon of food and drink, you're just kind of, making a slightly different flavour of the same thing. So for me, the inspiration is to bring something new to the market, so actually have some innovation and bring something exciting.
So publicity wise, you've managed to kind of get some press on your brands?
Yeah, I think because it's quite an interesting idea, I guess, especially for people within the food and drink community. It is something new, like genuinely new, as opposed to, I don't know, Carling launching a cider. It's something that is genuinely new. People have been quite receptive to it. So yeah, we had a bit in the Guardian, a couple of bits in Time Out.
Great.
And yeah, just various other bits and bobs. So I think there's definitely a nugget there. There's definitely something here. So.
Well, it's a great story. I think people, they want to support like new start businesses, and if it has, if it tastes great, looks great, if it's a great product, I think people are always going to give you that opportunity, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. And that's what I've been concentrating on, is the product, right? So the product has to come first, and all the other stuff can slot into place after that. I mean, maybe that's, I think some of my business partners would prefer us to be making loads of sales, but let's make the product great, solid foundation, and we can build off that.